Hello, everybody. This is GamePro24X, and today I'm going to quickly talk to you all about where this channel is going and the plans that I have moving forward in 2021. Now, I think this is actually something that I really should have done when I began covering the Oneechanbara series, but now since we're kind of like at a really good early start of the entire series, not to mention beginning of the new year, I think now is a great time to actually put together a little roadmap. And the purpose of this roadmap is to give anyone watching any like clear, transparent, and overall just guidance as to what I'm going to be currently doing for all of the individual games leading up to the final game in the series. Now, starting off, we are covering Oneechanbara Origins, which is the most recent entry in the entire series. And for this game, I do intend on going in depth and making multiple videos about multiple different aspects about the game, like how the rings work, uh, boss analysis, character analysis, reviewing the overall story, stuff like that. So I would say for the most part, we're going to be on Origins for a little bit. And once Origins is fully done, I will then continue the rest of the series. And another reason why I want to focus on Origins now is because it is still fresh and new, and I am getting more people that are coming into my channel for the first time because of the Origins and the other games as well. But mostly Origins because that's, again, it's just one of the most recent games. So, of course, I think it would be just smarter just to cater to that, at least for now. Even though it doesn't make sense and it's going against the order that I have been doing things, it does kind of make sense on a logistical standpoint. So before Origins came out, I did cover Oneechanbara 1 and 2. However, for 1, I never covered Other Side, which is like the more recent, up-to-date, and newly added featured version of the game. So I will go back and explore that maybe at the very end of the entire series because I want to just continue going forward. And for the second game, I actually got my hands on a ROM, a Japanese ROM, and I wanted to quickly take a look at that and see what other differences the Japanese version had that we didn't have. Because, as I mentioned in the second video, there were some things, there was a lot of things taken out in the Western version. So, yeah. Now, I was going in chronological order of when the games came out. So, after Oneechanbara 2, the next Oneechanbara game is Oneechanbara Vortex, or the one that we got in the West was Bikini Samurai Squad. I know, weird ass name. But this is the version that we got in the West. And from some of the research I did, it looks like there really is no difference between the two. But again, once we get on to that game, that's when I go more in depth with the research. And then I, of course, displayed in the video as to what the differences were, if there were any. Now, I actually do have in my possession both a digital version of this game on my 360 and a physical copy. So I can play the game, and I have played it, and it works. So this is a game that we can definitely play on its original hardware, thankfully. Now, as for the Japanese version, the Xbox 360s were actually region locked. So even if I did acquire a actual disc of the Japanese version, there's no way I'd be able to play it unless I have a Japanese Xbox 360. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Now, the very next game after Vortex or Bikini Samurai Squad is Bikini Zombie Slayers. Now, this game is weird because it's essentially the same game, but a continuation of it. It's very hard for me to describe. all I will say is that it is a legitimate different game. However, if you played the previous game before this, at first glance you would think it was just a ported version of this game on the Wii, which is halfway true. And when I do more research on that, hopefully we'll like find out why the game was made like this. It's very confusing. This is like one of the most confusing, games in the entire series when it comes to canonicity. Now, another very important thing to know about this game, it's on the Wii, which means it uses Wii controls, the motion controls. And no, there is no gamepad support natively on it. However, I did actually manage to convert this game from Wiimote to gamepad. It took me hours. It was a pain in the ass, but I actually figured out a system that works, and I'm fucking thankful for it. I'm actually really proud of myself of actually figuring out a gamepad scheme for this game. I have looked online everywhere, and everybody hit that same wall that I did. They just ended up giving in and just got the Wiimote controllers connected to their computer. I am playing this on Dolphin Emulator, by the way. Um, Anyways, they did connect it to their computer, and then they played the game. Literally, you literally have to swing the remote. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. Every single attack that you see on this screen right now, you have to physically swing the Wiimote. I'm not doing that. And I'm not expecting either of you guys to do that as well. So when we get to this game, I will definitely make a semi-deep video as to how to set up your game so you could play this game with your controller, but the game will think that you're on the Wiimote. But it will work. It will 100% work. I have tested this multiple times. However, if there's enough demand for it, I could quickly make that video earlier than expected. That way more people can actually play that game, because no one actually got to play it because of the sole fact that you have to swing so much on that Wiimote. So it's a very, very physically demanding game. But now that is no longer a case for me. So you just let me know if you guys actually want the control scheme. I can definitely give you guys the tools, or at least the knowledge of how to set that up. Alright, so the next game up on the list is going to be Oneechanbara Special, which was on the PSP. Now, I do believe this game is also canon to the story as well. However, it is very, very different. What is the best way for me to describe it? If you've ever played Resident Evil Revelations 1 or 2, I've only played 2, but I know 1 is going to be the same. There is a special mode in Resident Evil Revelations 2 and 1 called Raid Mode. And in Raid Mode, it has its own story, and you play through it, and it plays a lot differently than the normal game. It plays like a more arcadey version of Resident Evil. This game is essentially that. It has like its own hub, you upgrade your weapons, and then you do all this other stuff, and then you go into separate individual missions. So yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting game to cover when we get there. Now, here is my only problem with this game. This game only came out in Japan, and to my knowledge, there is no English patch version of this game whatsoever. I've tried searching it, and a few results did come up, but it would just take me to dead links. So either it did exist or it never really did exist. However, I do know of somebody who has actually translated the game and played through it. So I'm going to reach out to them and see if they could tell me what it is that I'm looking at, and help better construct what this video is going to be, because this entire game's in Japanese. I don't know Japanese, so it's going to be very difficult to understand what is going on, but hopefully I can get some guidance on that. And wow, look at that gameplay. It is very crusty. I mean, I think a lot of PSP games were pretty crusty, but goddamn. So this is going to be a hell of a game to play when we get there. So the next game on the list is a game I have been dying to play for the longest time since I played Z2 Chaos, and that is the first Z game, the first Z Chaos Kagura. So this game was an absolute nightmare to try to obtain, play, what have you. But fortunately enough, I fucking did it. We have a way to play it, and we have a way to find out what's going on. Because again, this game was only in Japan. So there's two versions of Oneechanbara Z Kagura, which is the very original one on the 360. But again, like I established earlier, the 360s were region locked. So the only way I could even play this game is if I have a Japanese Xbox 360. And at the very least, from my limited amount of researching, those Xbox 360s are in the triple digits. Yeah, I, as much as I love the game, as much as I love covering it, I really don't have that much change to be throwing around for a little research project. If I was a much bigger YouTuber with a much bigger audience that was able to get enough subs and donations to cover all that cost and then some, I would definitely do it. But I'm just a small time dude and I'm only doing my best. Now, there is a way to modify your Xbox 360. I believe it's called JTagging. And you can make it region free and you can play the game. But the problem with that is that's more hardware based. And I don't have the knowledge, nor do I actually want to do that on my Xbox 360 Slim. So the second version is the one that you just saw earlier. It came on the PS3. Again, it was only in Japan. However, the PlayStation 3s are region free. So you can still play this game on an American PS3, no problem. But there is one issue. The game is entirely in Japanese. Now, the thing is that I do not have a physical copy of the game. And after doing some research, I was able to actually homebrew my PS3, and it was actually a really simple process. It didn't take me no more than like 30 minutes. I found a really good guide online, and it was easy. So, I went to go find a ROM of this game, and it turns out somebody made an English patch version of this game, but it only applies to the menu items. So the subtitles of the cutscenes and whatnot are still in Japanese. However, like I mentioned before, I do know somebody who actually translated the game and made it for their videos, and I'm gonna reach out to them to see if they're willing to, like, you know, let me use their translations for this video. That way we know what's going on in the story, because that's the most important bit that I really want to know, is what happened in the story of Z1, because when I played Z2, it's obviously the continuation. So yeah, I would like to know what happened before. So yeah, long story short, I homebrewed my PS3 just so I can play an ISO of this game that happened to be English patched in, but it's only English patched for the menu, so I can navigate and actually do stuff in the game, but the subtitles are not English at all. Yeah, that's a hell of a fucking rabbit hole. Oh, and of course, because this is the second version of the game, it has additional characters and whatnot, which is what you're looking at right now, and her name is... No. You literally can't make this shit up. So, unfortunately, we will not be able to play the original Z1 Kagura game. We will be playing the updated version only. You know, I honestly did not think making a video series on this series was going to be this difficult, but holy shit, like, the amount of hoops you have to jump through just to play all the games and want to find out more about the game or the series itself. Wow. I could see why people didn't cover this game. It's definitely a journey. Being an Oneechanbara fan is definitely hell. And last but not least, the final game in the Oneechanbara series lineup is Oneechanbara Z2 Chaos. Now, this is the game that practically put Oneechanbara on the map in people's recent memory. And it was the same thing for me as well. It was like the first Oneechanbara game I really played all the way through and fell in love with the series and wanted to see more and do more, which ultimately led to this giant journey going through all the games. Now, truth be told, I actually do have a physical version of that special edition box that you just saw. So I decided to collect that after playing it on Steam. I just really wanted to have a special edition of it on the PS4. So this game will probably be one of the more easier ones to make because, to be honest, this is actually the first Oneechanbara game where they went full-on English dubbing. So there's not a whole lot of guesswork, and there's not a whole lot of me having to do a whole lot of extra research just to find out what's there or whatnot. So this one's going to be long, this one's going to be big, but it's going to be a pretty good way to end off on this series, at least journeying through all the games. Now, after I have fully covered each individual game in order, I will then make some additional videos talking about the overall timeline, because it's a very long overarching story between all the games that are all connected. So it's pretty easy to kind of get lost and to not really know what's going on because of, one, the language barriers, most of all, and two, because of just the obscurity of the game in general, especially the older ones. But thankfully, I already put in most of the work when it came to the original 2 games, so we can just continue off of that. However, there's one more list in the entry that I didn't mention because, well, it's not a game, but they did actually make an Oneechanbara movie. It was called Oneechanbara Vortex, and this does take place on the Bikini Samurai Squad game. Now, I do remember watching it long ago, but I don't remember everything about it. What I do remember is that it's a very, very low budget B-rated movie, and in terms of the story, I believe it's separate. I think I remember noting that in my mind that this was not like canonical, but it was trying to do its own thing during that segment in the story where Samurai Squad was happening. However, since it is Oneechanbara and this is the Oneechanbara series, maybe I will actually like go through it and talk about it. I will definitely go watch some other movie review channels to get an idea of how to have a good construction of that type of video, because I've never done that before. So we'll see how it goes. But we could probably end off the whole series with something like this. Now, looking at the entire list here, that is a shitload of videos that I'm going to be making. Definitely some games are going to require more than one video to talk about. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of videos. Oneechanbara Origins will probably have the most videos made for that game individually out of all of them. But yeah, it's a lot of work that I have ahead of me for 2021. But hey, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I wanted to make this little roadmap to kind of have a guide for myself and for others who are just joining and following this series on my channel, since, well, nobody else is really covering these games or this series in general. So on my channel for the next, I don't even know how long this is going to take. This is going to take a long time. But for a while, we're going to be covering this series exclusively. So expect reviews, expect guides, expect streams, especially because I'm sure a lot of you want to actually, watch me struggle. Because some of these games are fucking hard and they're frustrating as shit. But yeah, expect streams of a lot of these games. But overall, expect just good vibes and enjoy the ride, 2021's here. 2020, it was kind of bad, but hopefully this might be a good start to the new year. Oh, you know what? That reminds me. Ever since I played Z2 Chaos, I really wanted to play more of the series. And one of the other games they had recently made at the time was Schoolgirl Zombie Hunter. And you really can't be a real Oneechanbara fan if you haven't heard of this game or at least played it. And to my knowledge, the main characters, Aya and Saki and all of them, they're not in the game. There is one main character that you do see in the series that's in this game. And yes, this game is actually canon to Oneechanbara. I don't know where it fits in the timeline, but we'll figure that out when we get there. So yeah, I guess we will end off the series with this little game. I've yet to finish it on Steam, so that's going to be a hell of an adventure going through that. Well, just when I thought I was going to make a short video, what do you know, it becomes another 20-minute video. But at the very least, I hope this video gets the point across and helps let all of you viewers know what's going on with the channel and what I plan to do. So the next series of videos are going to be focused on Oneechanbara Origins. Um, if for some reason you guys don't really agree with the order that I have presented here, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm always open for discussion as to what people may think is a priority or not. Because there's certainly an argument for both sides of the camp. You know, you could have the crowd that wants Oneechanbara Origins because that's the most recent and that's going to be the one people are going to be looking for first. Or you have the other camp that wants to see the older games that they don't have access to or can't play and just want to know more of the series so they can get caught up and, well, just be more familiar with it. So you guys let me know what you think about that. So because there's a lot of videos that are going to be in the making, I'm going to try to at least make one video a week because, again, it's just a very, very long list. If I can manage to make 2 in a week, great. But I'm going to definitely aim for 1 video a week on this channel starting this week. So hope you guys stick around for the ride. And before I end off this video, I want to thank Identity Glitch and Watch TV 45 for supporting the channel either by subbing to Twitch or being a patron on Patreon. And for those who want to actually support me on this entire endeavor, covering this entire series, you're free to, donate or just, you could support the channel by just liking and, recommending this video to others who may think this game is interesting. All the links for my Patreon and Discord and whatnot will be in the description. This is GamePro24X. Welcome to 2021. Let's hope it's going to be a good one this time, and I'll see you guys on the next video.